You were taught that silence means you lost. That belief keeps you weak. A narcissist does not fear insults. They do not fear confrontation. They do not even fear exposure. They fear one thing: being ignored. Silence does not annoy them. It destabilizes them. It cuts their ego at the root. This is not motivation talk. This is not revenge advice. This is psychology tested in real human behavior, reinforced by Stoic philosophy that has survived 2,000 years. Watch closely. What you are about to hear explains why silence does not hurt a narcissist later. It hits immediately. Understanding the narcissistic mind. To understand why silence works, you must first understand what a narcissist actually is. A narcissist does not have a solid identity. They have a constructed image. Psychology shows that their self-esteem is unstable and externally regulated. They do not feel real unless someone reacts to them. Attention becomes oxygen. Emotion becomes proof of existence. This is why they provoke. This is why they dominate conversations. This is why they escalate conflict over small issues. They are not strong, they are dependent. Stoicism teaches that dependence is weakness, no matter how loud it looks. Why reaction is their primary food source. A narcissist feeds on reaction more than outcome. Winning an argument matters less than triggering emotion. Being right matters less than being felt. Anger energizes them. Defensiveness reassures them. Tears validate their impact. Even calm explanations still count, because you are still engaging. From a psychological perspective, any emotional engagement reinforces the narcissistic pattern. From a Stoic perspective, you just surrendered your inner state to an external force. Epictetus warned that when you allow others to disturb your peace, you give them power over you. Silence revokes that permission. Why silence feels painful to you? Silence feels unnatural because you are not disordered. Healthy people seek resolution. They want clarity. They want fairness. The narcissist uses that against you. They provoke confusion. They rewrite history. They accuse you of what they do. This triggers your need to explain. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance. Your brain wants the contradiction resolved. Stoicism calls it attachment to outcomes you cannot control. Silence breaks that attachment, not because it feels good at first, because it ends the cycle. Silence removes their mirror. A narcissist cannot self-reflect. They outsource reflection to others. Your emotional response becomes their mirror. When you react, you tell them they exist. When you stop, the mirror disappears. Now they face something unbearable: emptiness. Psychological studies show narcissistic individuals experience intense anxiety when attention is withdrawn. They are left alone with unresolved insecurity. You did not insult them. You did not threaten them. You simply removed yourself. That absence is louder than words. Why silence works immediately. Silence works fast because narcissistic regulation is fragile. They require constant reinforcement. Without it, ego stability collapses. This is why their behavior changes rapidly after you disengage. Sudden kindness appears. False accountability emerges. Anger intensifies. These are not signs of growth. They are signs of panic. Stoicism teaches that true strength does not rush to reclaim control. Your stillness creates psychological pressure without effort. They unravel themselves. escalation, panic, and the core fear of irrelevance. The moment you choose silence, the narcissist feels it. Not intellectually, physically. Something inside them destabilizes. Psychology calls this an extinction burst. Stoicism calls it exposure. Their old tools stop working. Provocation fails. Drama falls flat. So they escalate. They send messages that sound urgent. They test you with insults. They bait you with fake vulnerability. They try kindness that feels rushed and unnatural. This is not growth. This is panic. Silence removes their sense of control, and control is the oxygen of the narcissistic ego. Now we reach the core. At the center of narcissism is not confidence, it is fear. The fear of being irrelevant, the fear of being unseen, the fear of existing without impact on others. They built a personality to escape that fear. You were part of that structure. When you go silent, the structure collapses. They are left alone with the truth they spend their lives avoiding. Stoicism teaches that what is fragile will always react violently when pressured. Your silence applies pressure without aggression. That is why they unravel. Why most people break silence too early. This is where many people fail, not because silence stops working, because it starts working. The escalation unsettles you. You want to respond, you want to explain, you want to shut the chaos down. That urge is understandable. It is also the trap. The narcissist wants any response. Anger feeds them. Calm feeds them. Even a boundary feeds them if it comes with emotion. Psychology shows that intermittent reinforcement is the strongest addiction. One response after silence rehooks them. Stoicism demands consistency. Epictetus taught that discipline is choosing long-term freedom over short-term relief. Silence only works when it becomes your new baseline, not as punishment, as self-command. Why silence attacks their identity, not their emotions. Words target emotions. Silence targets identity. A narcissist can argue with words. They can twist them. They can reframe them. They cannot argue with absence. Silence communicates something devastating. You no longer matter enough to disrupt my inner state. That message bypasses defense mechanisms. Psychologically, it triggers ego collapse because the narcissist's self-image depends on being central. Stoically, it demonstrates independence. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Silence purifies your inner world. It leaves theirs exposed. Why explaining yourself always backfired? You believed clarity would fix it. You explained your intentions. You clarified misunderstandings. You tried to be fair. None of it worked, because narcissism does not seek understanding, it seeks dominance. Every explanation gave them material. Every emotional sentence became a weapon. Every justification reinforced their position. Psychology confirms this pattern. Narcissists reinterpret explanations as weakness. Silence removes ammunition. No material, no leverage, no distortion. You exit the narrative. They are forced to talk to themselves. Silence relocates power back to you. Power never lived in your arguments. It lived in your attention. When attention leaves, power moves. You feel it first. Your mind stops rehearsing conversations. Your body relaxes. Your sense of self stabilizes. They feel it next. Their influence shrinks. Their urgency grows. Their behavior becomes erratic. This is the psychological transfer of control. Stoicism teaches that power is self-mastery. Silence is mastery expressed without performance. Why they eventually disengage. A narcissist cannot survive long without supply. If silence remains firm, they look elsewhere, not because they healed, because they must. They need reflection, they need reaction, they need someone to orbit them. You stopped orbiting. Stoicism teaches acceptance of reality, not attachment to outcomes. Their departure is not a loss, it is confirmation. The moment you realize you already won. There comes a moment when you notice something quietly changed. You wake up and they are no longer the first thought in your mind. You move through your day without rehearsing conversations. Your body feels lighter. Nothing dramatic happened. No apology, no final conversation, no explanation, just distance. That is when you realize the truth. The power you thought they had was borrowed. You were lending it every time you reacted, every time you explained, every time you tried to be understood by someone committed to misunderstanding you. Silence took that power back, not loudly, not aggressively, cleanly. You did not win an argument. You outgrew the battlefield. The narcissist is still searching for reaction, still provoking, still performing. You are building something else. This is what real detachment feels like. Not numbness, clarity. You are no longer trying to control how you are seen. You are focused on how you live. Stoicism teaches that peace comes when your well-being stops, depending on external behavior. Silence is where that shift becomes permanent. You are not invisible. You are no longer available, and that is why it worked. The Stoic endgame. Silence is not avoidance. It is refusal. Refusal to argue with illusion. Refusal to waste energy on chaos. Refusal to let someone else script your inner life. The narcissist collapses because their world depends on external validation. You rise because yours no longer does. You do not need revenge. You do not need closure. You need command over yourself. Silence gives it back. If this sharpened your understanding of power, stay here. This channel is for those who choose control over chaos.